Welcome to the UVision 3D Creator tutorial. Hello, my name is Ray Rodenberg, and today I'll be conducting a tutorial on a couple of the best ways to use the terrain tool in UVision 3D Landscape Creator. The terrain tool is definitely a very important component of your design, as it will give a much more realistic design and help you create various elevations within the design. For the purpose of this demonstration, I have selected a pre-made home from the House Wizard, as you can see here. Also in this plan, I have gone and put in a forested ravine, and I've put in the road, and this is a boundary line. And for those of you that don't use boundary lines, you can find that over in Utilities here, and it's called Lot Boundary. And it's a really great way of putting in the boundary before you go in and start putting in fences and trees, to know where your property line is. Particularly in plan view, it's very, very helpful. So as you can see here, I have a sort of a trapezoidal sized lot, and if I click on it and click edit points, it'll also give me directions, and it'll give me the distance of each of the property lines here. So let's take a look at this plan, and for the purpose of this demonstration, we're going to use the terrain tool called Slope. My other favorite one is the contour line, but I'll do a separate one on contour line. But Slope is an easy way for your typical home, and I'll show you in this video how that works. Let's assume for a moment here that half the backyard here is fairly flat, and then from here on down there's a ravine that goes down about 6-7 feet, and over in the front of the house here where the garage is, we'll assume that there's a 24-inch fall from the garage floor to the street. And then on the sides we'll assume that there's perhaps a 2-foot drop on this side, and then maybe another 3-foot drop on this side. So we're going to go ahead and use the slope tool. We'll click on the icon. We'll start it. Doesn't really matter where you start along this line, because you'll be working within parallels. I like to hold down the shift key at this point and just start working up from the road. As soon as I get there, I'll right click it. And once I've right-clicked it, my little menu up here comes up on the right, and you notice it's the default of the rise is 10 feet. And we said we wanted a 2-foot rise, so let me just put 2 foot in there and press enter. You can also see that our distance of our driveway is 52 feet long, each one of these squares being 10 feet, and a little bit here equals the 52. If I take a quick peek over into the 3D, you can already see that slope happening from the garage floor to the street. So let's go ahead and build our small ravine in the back. We'll go up to the slope icon once again, and this time we're going to start sort of halfway in the wooded area, and we're going to come up about 40-50 feet up into the backyard, and I'll right click again, and our default again is 10 feet, but we'll go, let's say it's a 6-foot rise in the ravine. Once again, a little peek over into the backyard. You can see things have sloped off. It's level from the house back out about 40 feet, and then there's a drop off. And in this particular tutorial, the idea is we want to show a retaining wall kind of leveling off this backyard so that it has room for a swimming pool. We'll also show you how to put in a driveway in here on a slope. You can't use your patio tool for that because it works in level planes and not on slopes. So there's another tool for that, but we'll get into that in just a moment. In order to complete the drainage on this site, we're going to have to slope this way, and we're also going to have to slope this way. And you can do that with the slope tool as well. We'll go back into plan view for just a moment. We'll go grab our slope icon. We'll go over to property line. Doesn't really matter overly where, but we'll start it about here. And we'll hold the shift key down to keep our arrow nice and straight. I'll right click. Again, the default is 10 feet, but we'll just assume that this is a 3-foot drop away from the house. And then we're going to do the other side as well. We'll click the slope icon again, hold the shift key down, go towards the house, right click, and open up this little menu again, and we'll put 2-foot fall away from the house there. So now I've got a fall away this way from the driveway, and starting at this line here over into the forest, and we've got drainage away from both sides of the house. Let's have a look and see how that looks in here. You can get the feel already about the fall away from the house. Here you can get the feeling about the fall away from here, and then we've got our level area away from the house, and then our slope that goes into the ravine. So that very, very quickly gets your main grades in. So when you get to a regular suburban subdivision home, you can actually just go in and take your elevations from the house, get your slope to the street, get your slope to the back of the yard, and get your slope to both sides, and get that into your plan. So let's see what effect this has now on if we were to put a driveway into the front. As I mentioned, there's a special tool for that. Normally you'd go to building and then use the patio tool, which will put in your paving stone surface. That won't work in this particular case because it works on horizontal planes. So if you go into the landscape tab and click region, and we'll go and draw in plan view, of course, because it's always much easier. You can turn your snap on and off depending on how what your tolerances are, but we'll just put in our straight driveway to the street, and we're going to have to pick over here our right angle snap, and we'll just work our way back up to the house here and back up this way. And now we've got our last one did not snap at a right angle, so if we go to edit points, highlight that rounded one, and then click over here to the line edit here, you'll see it snaps into a 90 degrees. And make sure you turn that tab off, otherwise you won't be able to work any further with it. One additional thing, because this is mostly used for gardens and beds, it'll ask you for an edge style. Here it says normal, soft, normal, sharp. I go for sharps because this will be a paving stone edge, so it sharpens up that edge considerably. Let's look in perspective and see how our slope driveway looks. Of course, the default was a mulch material, but by clicking onto the icon mulch, you can go down to Unilock, and then we can select EnduraColor Plus, and we can install a Tribeca peppered driveway. So now you can see how that has been sloped down to the street. Matches up nicely right to the street. This is very, very helpful because now you'll have a very realistic slope, and that when you build steps here on this spot right here, you'll most likely will build a step, and it'll have a kind of a tapered rise. So that takes care of the driveway installation. Let's take a look and see if we were to build level off this yard and build a retaining wall. let's say this customer wants to put in a swimming pool right here, but he has to deal with this slope, and you want to build a retaining wall. So we'll go over to our building tab, click retaining wall, and we'll say that we're going to follow the property line here for that wall, and we're going to come along on that property line to maybe the house here. We won't do the entire property. We'll do from here to here. We'll kind of build a bit of a wall. So I'm going to take the snap tool off to help us create those odd angles, and we'll come out from the side of the house here, and we'll come right along that property line, and let's get our angular snap on again, and we'll come up to this corner here. Maybe we were going to even build something a little more unusual on a angle here because of the vegetation. And we'll click on this side, we'll come here, and we'll work our way back to the house here, maybe to level off the entire property. Once you're done that, right click, your wall will be in place. Now your default wall is Brussels dimensional, but we're going to use our new 𝐸 panels in here. We'll use the 𝐸 Smooth Almond Growth, and we will change our cap to a natural cap, and we will not put an accent in at this time. So now let's go into perspective and see what we've done. So we've got this little defaulted wall here along our line, and as you can see, the height is not right because it's working with the default, which is 1 foot 11 inches. So all we have to do is begin to grow that wall up into that 6 foot range to get the property leveled off. So because we're not right at the bottom there at the 6 feet, we can actually see right over in this corner here when we're exactly level to other patio areas that we want to be at. So go back to this little toggle, you'll see it jump up right there, and as soon as we're at the height we want to be at, we've now been able to create the entire, or level off the backyard with this retaining wall, and take into account that slope that we had at the back of the property. As you can see, it works quite nicely.